Hi, this is the next video in our Garden Talk series. We'll be going over the basics of gardening and transplants versus seeds. My name is Nancy Scholes, and I've been gardening since I was 8 years old. And my husband and I have a large garden and a greenhouse just south of town here. Some garden tools will be available to borrow at the community garden, but everybody should have the basics, like a trowel to plant with, and some kind of a hoe to weed with. There's many different varieties, and I'm sure everybody knows what they look like. This is one that we like the best. This is called a cobra head, and it's really good at cutting off weeds, or it's good at digging also. Unfortunately, my husband likes it as much as I do, so I rarely get to use it, but it's a very nice one. A watering can is another fairly essential thing for everybody. I would suggest that you get a bottle of either seaweed emulsion or fish emulsion. It costs about $10 at a garden center. And one can will last you the whole season. It's kind of stinky, but the plants just love it. And you put like a teaspoon of the emulsion into the watering can, fill it up with water, then you water your plants. And of course you water the soil, not the plants, because otherwise that stinky stuff gets on your salad greens and things. You don't want that. Hoses will be available, and the spigots should be approximately no more than 40 feet from your garden plot. Garden gloves of one type or another are also good. Protect your hands. Also something to kneel on. So now we'll talk a little bit about planning your garden plot. First thing to do is to decide what you and your family like to eat. Priorities, because this is only 10 by 20 feet. It's not huge. It's enough, but you need to know priorities. Do you like fresh salads a whole lot? Lots of good tomatoes, beautiful flowers for bouquets, herbs for eating fresh, preserving, using for tea, for crafts, special vegetables that you can't find everywhere. Everyone's garden will be different, and it'll be fun to see what other people are doing and let them see what you're doing. Then there's the layout. I suggest that you plant in beds rather than rows. You'll have much more growing space, and because the soil is not compacted so much, except in the pathways, of course, the roots will have more area to grow and they'll do much better. And you can do companion planting, which is growing herbs and flowers among your vegetables. Some plants just like each other and they do better with each other nearby. A very simple bed that I'm suggesting for your plot is 2 rows, the length of the plot, so that you have a 2-foot wide bed on either end and a 3-foot wide bed in the middle. This gives you plenty of space for most things. The 3-foot bed wide in the middle is good for things that are kind of tall or sprawl, so that keeps them from affecting your neighbor's plots. And I would say figure on leaving a 6-inch edge around where your plot contacts the neighboring plots as a no plant zone, so that it'll stay nice and fluffy and the roots can go in there and it won't affect your neighbors then. Look up square foot gardening. Square foot gardening, it's a wonderful way to plant your beds. You get the maximum value of the space. And also companion planting. And always choose varieties that mature in less than 90 days. Because this is northern Wisconsin, and you want to be able to actually harvest something. And for help in planning your layout, like I said, go to Square Foot Gardening, or look at your seed catalogs. Many of them have information on that you'll need in planning your layout, like space between plants. Okay, time commitment. You need to know what you're willing to give to your garden. To plant, weed, water, fertilize, harvest, and miscellaneous jobs, you have to figure on at least 1 to 2 hours a week. Also figure on volunteering at least 4 hours during the season to help the community garden with things like mowing, raking wood chips. There'll be a lot of little jobs. Weeding will be the #1 time consumer. Watering it will be second, especially if it's a dry year. Then you need to decide whether you're going to start transplants yourself or buy them. Starting them yourself is quite time consuming. I do it all the time, and I love it because you can get the varieties you want. You could try new things all the time. But it's much easier just to buy them. Seeds you can start buying now, and I would suggest doing it soon because then you'll have the best chance of getting the varieties you want through the seed catalogs or through the stores that you shop. Once you've decided what to plant and you've planned your space and you've figured your time, then comes the real fun part. You get to choose the varieties and plan to buy your seeds soon, like I said. Transplants you need to buy in mid to late May, or start your own seeds so that they will be at the optimum at that time. Things like tomatoes, peppers, and eggplants should be started 4 to 6 weeks before. Squash, melons, cucumbers, pumpkins, about 4 weeks before. And cabbage family, like cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, about 4 weeks before. Flowers and most herbs need to be started indoors up to 3 to 4 months early. So you want to be able to plant them in the garden and get to use them as soon as possible. The rule of thumbs for transplants, they should be healthy, sturdy, and not root-bound. Better younger and smaller than root-bound because they won't do well for you. Direct seeded, almost everything else like lettuce and other greens, kale, chard, radishes, carrots, kohlrabi, beans, peas, corn. Although corn is a little iffy, it's a wind-pollinated thing. If you want to grow corn in your plot, you need to grow a big area of it. So I don't really recommend it. Plus, it's hard to find varieties that don't get over 6 feet tall. So you might be shading your neighbors. Beets, turnips, and onion, you usually plant onion sets rather than seeds. Flowers like zinnias, marigolds, sunflowers, bachelor buttons can be seeded in the garden. Basil is kind of iffy. You can get it as a transplant or you can plant it in your garden. Parsley and dill. And some of those things are wonderful for companion planting also, some of those herbs. Places that you can look for seeds and transplants. Hanson's Garden Village is just south of town on Highway G. That's a wonderful spot. Fourth Floral, just north of downtown Rhinelander, is also very good. Grocery stores in May will have a lot of transplants. The big box stores, Menards, Home Depot, Walmart, Fleet Farm, they will have in May, they'll have plenty you can buy from. Farmers markets are always a possibility. And this year it's something new, Evergood Farm, and I'll give you their website. Evergood Farm up in Sugar Camp area is going to plant a lot of transplants for people, and they will deliver them to town here. So now you have at least background information for planning your garden plot. Square foot gardening and companion planting will help a lot. This is a wonderful time of year to think happy thoughts of sunshine and green growing things. I wish you happy gardening and hope to see some of you in the community garden this summer.